The Art of Being Ruled. Wyndham Lewis. Original publication 1926. 1989 edition. Narrated by Skeptical Waves. Part 8. The Vicious Circle. Chapter 3. The Role of Inversion in the War on the Intellect. A sort of war of revenge on the intellect is what, for some reason, thrives in the contemporary social atmosphere. This has for effect a substitution of animal creation for intellectual creation. It is as though a war broke out between the picture or poem and the proud and jealous beauty that it represented, a war between the Vuzi and its waters. Creative becomes a term of abuse in consequence, and elegant sterility, or cautious and critical eking out of a little jet of narvat left over on purpose, is the idea, instead. These readjustments are undertaken with a view to meeting the democratic requirements of the greatest vanity of the greatest number. That vanity must be sheltered from painful comparisons and revenged for humiliations in the past. So a revolution in favor of standards unfriendly to the intellect, and friendly to Al, that had been formerly subordinated to it, is the first and most evident result of sex transformation. The passions, intuitions, all the features of the emotive life, with which women were formerly exclusively accommodated, are enthroned on all hands, in any place reached by social life, which is increasingly, in the decay of visible, public life, everywhere. In this admirably organized sensationalist philosophy resulting from the common objects of these movements, life would seem to end where the baby was produced. The creative act of producing the baby is the first and last creative act understood or allowed by it. The human being is only legitimately creative on one occasion, namely, in the production of another human being. And not only is the baby the supreme creation, but babyhood, in one form or another, is the supreme condition of perfection. We will follow for a moment the probable stages of this revolution as manifested in the life of society. First, the salon, the home of the prêcheuses ridicules, will be pitched next door to the nursery, then gradually the connecting door will become a large folding door, and then at length all septum of any sort will disappear. The précieuses ridicules, dressed in baby frocks, will be on the floor with their dolls, or riding rocking horses in Greek draperies. The next stage in this human dissolution will almost certainly be spared the future generations. For the house is to be rebuilt, and it will be rebuilt, without any doubt at all, on a more admirable pattern than ever before. But at the moment at which the last scrap of wall between the salon and the nursery disappears, you may find it difficult to summon your optimism to this prophetic reconstruction. These pages are written principally in order to enable you to grasp the method of that especial social ritornelle, and play your part without gaucherie. Once you have the key to the transaction, you may find it diverting up to a point. The part that male inversion, the latest child of feminism, plays in these neighboring battlefields of the high and the lowbrow, or the specifically feminist battle of feminine ecstasy and intuition against the male intellect, is of the highest utility. It, too, is in arms against the family, with all its natural machinery, namely, of human affection and man and woman sexual love. With that insurgent and militant instinct of an oppressed brotherhood defined so accurately by Proust, it helps its brother or sister insurgents in their attack on science, the fine arts, established, and usually desiccated, culture. It is the refinement that goes with male inversion, the obligation of culture, of a refined speech, and the unreality of millionaire luxury as a necessary background, that is where it comes in touch and into conflict with the more generalized life. The mannishness of the woman invert, so different from and so inferior to the manliness of the male of the masculine side of inversion, is the counterpart of this refinement. The deep, throaty voice, the rather rough gestures, of the woman invert contrast again with that shrinking modesty, the shyness of the transformed shaman, the well-behaved child, in whose mouth butter would not melt, who will never, never, never speak until he is spoken to, of the female of the masculine species.